Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled Shmitta Shiur number 3. We'll be discussing the Halacha of Matzah a hot growing in a hothouse during the Shmitta year. This will be part 1 of the hothouse series. The Yerushalmi has a machloket to Chakira whether one can grow inside one's house during the Shmitta year. It says Satcha lo tizra, that you cannot plant in your sadeh, and this is not your sadeh. On the other hand, this is going to talk about not planting in haaretz. In haaretz, maybe the house is considered part of the land. Yerushalmi does not have a conclusion. Paat Hashulchan says, well, nowadays Shmita is drabanan. Certainly we hold that way according to most poskim, and therefore we could say it's a suffix drabanan l'kula, and therefore one can plant in his house without a problem. And theoretically, if one has a hot house, then you can plant in the hot house during Shmita. Suffix drabanan l'hakil. Chazon Ish says not so simple. Machlokas originally is a suffix on a deoraita. Shmita was deoraita once upon a time. Hashem will be here if you made a soon. We'll have all Hashviit back and the Mikdash back, and it'll be deoraita. And therefore, since originally it was a suffix deoraita, whether the house I could plant in the house or not, because it is not a sadeh, but it is a bayit, and it's a suffix. But that original suffix was a suffix deoraita. So therefore, even now when it's drabanan, we would still be machmir like the original suffix. That's machlokes in the Paat Hashulchan and Chazon Ish about growing in the house. Then there's another question. When one grows in pots, atzitz. So atzitz shenakov. When you have a pot with holes in it that's attached to the ground, it's quite clear from the Mishna already that on Shabbat and Trumot, it's attached to the ground. It's considered part of the ground. Therefore, it would seem to say that for Shmita also, you should consider a plant with a nakuv, a hole in it, part of plant with a hole attached to the ground, and it should be a problem to treat it. You have to treat it like it's growing on the ground, like a proper produce of the ground. That would make sense to say. What about when you have a potted plant, atzit she'eino nakuv? It's not really discussed in the early sources. So maybe Rosh Zalman says you could say by other halachot, Shabbat, Trum and Matzah, maybe you could say that one could lead to another, and therefore you have to be machmir by a potted plant, even if it doesn't have a hole in it. You cannot pick from it on Shabbat, at least midrabanan. Shlomo Zalman says maybe on Shemitah we wouldn't have such a chumrah. Once every 7 years, maybe then make a gezerah. But Lamaisa, he's not so quick to be makel on a potted plant that's outside. The question is, when we have the combination of a potted plant in a house, so they already have this suffix of the Yerushalmi, then you have the suffix of the potted plant, and you're putting them both together. You have a few sfeikot together, then there might be a lot of room to be makel. The Chazon Ish says that one who's makel in such a case, yesh al mi lismach, he has who to rely on. This would be the basis for being makel in a hothouse. Hashem, in Shmitta Shiur number 3, hothouse part 2, we'll continue to see the ramifications of the hothouse in Shmitta. Shalom.